Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical and episode 1 of the next build series. If you guys have been following along, I like to do build series on this channel. The first build series was this. Actually, not true. The first build series was this M&P 2.0 where I just completely customized an already existing gun. Then I built an Aero Precision EPC 9mm AR. The most recent build series was this, the 300 Blackout. Well, I kept telling you guys that I was going to do a Gucci Glock build, but I also had a lot of people asking me to do a custom Palmetto State Armory Dagger. So I figured I'd check both those boxes, and what we're doing is the Gucci Glock on a budget build. Basically, a Gucci'd out Palmetto State Armory Dagger. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and let's start. So with all these other recent builds being AR platforms, which I love building ARs, I now have a lot of ARs. Well, 4 of them. And I felt like it was time for another pistol. I sold my only compact pistol, which, compact being a 15-round gun with a 4-inch barrel, Glock 19 size. So I've got some full-size guns here, and I've got my subcompact carry gun. I felt like it was time to build a Glock 19 size gun. And I've always wanted a Glock 19. But one thing that I learned in building my M&P 2.0 out is that buying a whole gun and then getting slides milled and Cerakote jobs and replacing triggers and adding this and changing that is a very expensive way to go. So I could have bought a whole Glock 19 and had a slide milled because I'm not really a huge fan of the MOS system. I like a direct mill for a red dot. And obviously I'm going to want a different trigger and all that stuff. Well, I've been very impressed with what Palmetto State Armory has been doing the last few years. I've got an 11.5-inch Palmetto State Armory AR-15 that obviously I've changed just about everything out on it, but the base gun is still that PSA AR-15, and it's a great gun. I've put tons of rounds through it and it just keeps going. Well, I've done a lot of research about their Dagger pistols. It's basically a Gen 3 Glock 19 clone, and I've really only heard good things about them. Same kind of reliability that you get out of a Glock, and but for a really good price. You can get the basic model for like $299, but if you know me, you know I'm not going to do the basic model. I'm going to build out a custom one that is what I want, and by buying just the parts that I want, I can get that custom pistol but not have to pay as much as like buying a pistol and then customizing everything out. So as I said, episode 1 of the build series. Let's open this up, take a look at what we've got in here, and you'll see what I mean. So here we have the case. And what I got here is just the frame in flat dark earth. But if you guys know Palmetto State Armory, they just do incredible deals. And for the price of this frame, which is $99.99, $100, you get this soft case with it, and that was one of their daily deals. So it's basically a free case. The case has room for extra magazines, whatever else you want to put in here. It's got some extra pouches and stuff. I still haven't decided what goes in these. Maybe the slide goes in there. I don't know. I feel like I'd want to keep the slide on the pistol. But anyway, free case. I thought that was pretty cool. It's a fairly nice case. And it's got some windows here for stuff. Put my business card in there. Anyway, this is the grip frame that's going to start the build. And I went with this after a lot of research. I wanted a good grip for the base for my Glock 19 build. And the reason I went with the Palmetto State Armory Dagger was a number of factors. One was definitely the price, $100, and it's a complete frame. Now, I didn't need a complete frame because I already know I'm going to replace this trigger. Now, I haven't shot this yet, obviously. I don't have a slide and barrel. So I'm not saying that the trigger's bad, but I have heard that that is maybe one of the weak points of the PSA Dagger. It does have that hinge trigger mechanism that the M&P 2.0s have, but this one has a much better shape. My M&P 2.0 trigger was hinged, or it was curved so extreme that it kind of was uncomfortable on your trigger finger. This one is very comfortable. It's a very wide trigger shoe. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll be fine, at least at the beginning, but if you know me, you know I like a good custom trigger. And just having shot a lot of Glocks, I'm not a giant fan of Glock triggers, and this does have your standard Glock trigger mechanism in here with your trigger bar, the sear, everything is very standard Gen 3 Glock 19. In fact, everything in here is. The thing about the PSA Dagger is that it takes Gen 3 Glock parts. And so Glock's Gen 3 patent ran out a few years ago, and so a lot of companies make Gen 3 Glocks now. And so you can get tons of different companies make grips for them, slides, barrels, trigger components, all the internals, everything you can get from all kinds of different companies. Well, I didn't really want to have to buy a grip frame and then stipple it and all that. And I'd heard good things about these daggers, and they are true. This grip feels really, really good in the hand. It's got a lot of the same features as a Glock 19. So if you know the different generations of Glock, some of them have the finger grooves, usually 2 points sticking out, making 3 grooves. Some of them don't, depending which generation you get. This one has 1 finger groove, kind of like my SIG P365 has, which is very comfortable. It's got a really nice high undercut under the trigger guard here, which helps you get really high up on the grip, especially with this beaver tail. And it's a very comfortable grip. It's a really good shape for my hand. I'm not a huge fan of the Glock grip angle, but I'm also don't really have much of a problem with it. I could shoot Glocks just fine. But this does feel more comfortable in my hand. It doesn't feel blocky. It doesn't feel like a 2x4 like a lot of Glocks kind of feel to me. It's more rounded, more ergonomic, and just the shape of it here really pushes your hand high up into that grip, which is really nice. It has the same kind of takedown levers as a standard Glock. The trigger guard geometry is a little bit different. I think Glock has a patent on, that Glock shape, but this kind of maintains a similar shape. You can, if you're one of those guys that grips with your finger in front of the trigger guard, it is designed for that. That used to be the grip I use. Now I kind of grip more like this underneath it. My grip has, changed over the years. So I don't use that anymore, but if you do, that does work very well there. It has your standard Glock rail, meaning basically a 1-slot Picatinny instead of an actual Picatinny rail with multiple slots. Luckily, the light that I will probably use on this, being a Streamlight TLR1HL in FDE, they come with different keys. They come with a Glock key, a standard Picatinny key, a SIG P320 key. So I know it will fit on this, which is nice. Most lights these days come ready for Glock because Glock is like the most popular pistol that there is. Other than that, the only thing I don't really like about this is the magazine release. I'll kind of show you what I mean here, if I can. So for one, when I'm gripping this pistol, my middle finger actually runs into this mag release a little bit, and it's kind of got a sharp edge to it. Not a big deal, and I'm sure while I'm shooting it, I will not even really notice that, but it is something I noticed the first time I picked up the gun, is that kind of is uncomfortable on my middle finger, on my shooting hand, my strong hand. More so than any other of the pistols that I have. I kind of tested them all to see, if it was just me, but it's definitely this grip. Luckily, because it takes Gen 3 Glock parts, I can change out that mag release if I want to at some point. Now, one thing about Glocks, polymer magazines, polymer grip, the magazines don't quite fall free or slide out nearly as forcefully as metal magazines do. It's just something that I have found. Now, it's not a problem. They drop out. But you see, it's not like this 1911 where the magazines just shoot out of it. You know what I mean? So, just something to be aware of. And if I keep my firing grip on it and I push this, well, it worked that time, of course. Nope, but not that time. It's like my hand blocks this from going all the way through, and it doesn't release the magazine. So far, that is my only real gripe about it. But other than that, I'm actually really, really happy with it, and I can't wait to get the rest of the build started. So when I say Gucci Glock on a budget, now you have an idea of what I mean. $100 for a complete frame. Now obviously did not include these magazines, and these are OEM Glock magazines, which, you know, are like 35 bucks a piece. You can get aftermarket brand ones that are a lot cheaper, but I would rather not mess around with the reliability. And one thing about this, it'll also take, because Glock, it'll take whatever size Glock magazines you have. So Glock fun sticks, no problem. Now obviously if I carry this, it's going to be carried with these 15 round Glock 19 mags. But when it comes to the range, it is nice to be able to load up some higher capacity magazines, which is just a kind of added bonus about Glock. Glock has this thing about compatibility. Their parts are very standardized at this point, which is a really nice thing. Now, when I say Gucci Glock build on a budget, the other thing I mean is this. So I did order a PSA Dagger slide and barrel, but not like your standard slide and barrel that's, you know, bottom of the barrel cheap. I actually ordered their most expensive slide and barrel. So the one that I have coming is, it's going to be a black slide, titanium nitride gold threaded barrel, RMR cut with window cuts, suppressor height night sights, the whole deal. That way I can add a red dot to it. I'm going to, of course, get a light, custom trigger. This will be an entire build series, making a full custom gun, just like the other build series that I've done. I've had a lot of requests to do a custom PSA Dagger, especially after doing this PSA video about a year ago now. I've had a lot of comments asking about a Dagger. So here we are, kind of killed two birds with one stone. Like I said, I've wanted to do a Gucci Glock build for a long time anyway. So episode 1, I hope you guys are excited to see the rest of the build series. I'm excited to build a new gun. I love building guns. It's become a really fun pastime of mine. So I hope you guys enjoyed the same kind of stuff. Let me know down in the comments if you do. Tell me what parts you would use to build a Gucci Glock on a budget build, or just whatever you're into when it comes to building Glocks. Because Glocks are kind of like the AR-15 of the pistol world. The parts standardization makes it really easy to buy parts from multiple manufacturers. You know they're going to work well together, and you can build something that is very much yours and not just a pistol like everyone else has, which I like. Plus, I really like red dots and lights on my pistols, so, and custom triggers, all that. So we're going to have all that here. If you enjoyed this video, please share this video. Please like this video, and please subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. And next week, we'll have episode 2, Slide and Barrel. Stay tuned. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.